You know the day destroys the night, night divides the day. Try to run, try to hide, break on through to the other side. Break on through to the other side. Break on through to the other side, yeah.
Okay, today we're going to start talking about mass media and its relationship to our government. When we use the word media, that can mean a variety of different things. That can refer to TV, radio, magazines, newspapers, the internet, websites. But when we talk about mass media in particular, we're talking about media that reaches a wide audience. So if someone just has a personal blog that he or she writes, that wouldn't be considered mass media, but social media sites that have millions of members and followers, that would be considered mass media. So in terms of the government, what are some of the functions of media? Just to set a little context on the history of media and politics, particularly when looking at media and the president, it's important to remember that when the Constitution was written, there essentially was no daily press. In fact, even as far back, I suppose, as Herbert Hoover, if the media wanted questions or if people wanted information from the president, they would have to submit written letters and they would have to wait for the president or one of his staffers to reply in written form. And it was really FDR who was going to change the relationship of the president and the media. And he had promised the press that he would meet with reporters twice a week, which over his 12 years in office was over 1,000 press conferences. So it was FDR that really first established this whole idea of different reporters gathering with the opportunity to ask the president questions. The president may or may not answer those questions, and then the reporters could go write stories, share the information, and pass it along. So it was really in the FDR presidency that we see a link between the constituents in the United States and the president. And then with the invention of TV in the 1960s, as it became more commonplace, this is really when people started tuning into their TVs to have that connection to the White House. In your U.S. history class, I'm not sure if your teacher mentioned this, but the 1960 debate between JFK and Richard Nixon was the first televised debate, and there's often theories that telegenics was the main reason why JFK defeated Nixon, who had far more experience. And essentially, that means that more people found JFK more attractive and just had a better TV presence than Nixon did. I don't know if we'll be able to ever find out if that was true, but now it's hard to imagine politics without TV. Just think about the most recent debates and how, again, the media is going to put a face to the names or even put the names out there for the first time for some people. So those are all just kind of side notes of functions of media. So in terms of what we need to look at, entertainment. So entertainment shows can actually provide political fodder in their episodes. So for example, The Daily Show or The Colbert Report, those would both be considered entertainment shows, but if you watch them, you can get political information. Same goes for Saturday Night Live. Anytime there's an election, SNL definitely does a lot of skits around the two main candidates, and a lot of people tune into these entertainment sources to get political information. The media also provides news reports, and these can come in a variety of forms: print, radio, TV, internet. And currently, most people still rely on the TV for their news. However, this number is definitely dwindling because more people are turning to, that's right, the internet. But TV still is slightly in the lead in terms of which form of medium people use. So agenda setting. What this means is the media can actually help influence the agenda of a politician or of Congress or of anyone in the federal bureaucracy. And this is because if the media helps draw attention to a certain issue, the candidates then are influenced to focus on that issue and make it part of their platform. And the media is very, very powerful in bringing attention to issues and also bringing attention to issues that they might feel that a candidate is not giving enough attention to. And so the media can really help, again, shape the agendas for candidates. And then lastly, media allows the creation of political forums, meaning that through media, politicians can make announcements, they can have photo opportunities, they can have commercials. Media is a way that politicians can get their face, their name, and their main message out to a mass audience. And so when we look at how the media is set up, there's sort of three different categories. There's print media, newspapers and magazines, which I think when I say newspapers now, that really sounds archaic, and few people in this generation probably even rely on newspaper. I remember growing up back in my day, my parents had a subscription to the newspaper, and they read that thing cover to cover every single day. When I first graduated college, I thought, oh, I'm a grown-up. I need a newspaper subscription. And I found that I was going to the internet so much more for the news that having the print copy was actually wasteful. Electronic media includes radio, TV, and then now the biggest category is definitely going to be the internet. Different news sites, political blogs, YouTube, social media sites can all fit under the internet type of media. And so let's look at the relationship that the government has in terms of regulation or control over our media. So as we hopefully remember, the First Amendment protects the American press from prior restraint. And it was a Supreme Court case, Neer versus Minnesota, that established that the government cannot preemptively block something from being printed or shared. However, the government can regulate what is already existing. So for example, the government cannot go to a newspaper publisher and say, you're not allowed to print this. But if they find out after a story has been printed that it violates a certain statute or a regulation, then that publisher can be subjected to fines or some kind of punishment. The FCC is one of the commissions in the federal bureaucracy that is responsible for regulating mass media. And one of their jobs includes issuing radio and TV licenses, setting up the formula for fines based on regulations that are broken, things like that. And then it was the Telecommunications Act in 1966 that set the standard that one company can own 8 radio stations in a large market. And kind of interestingly, 90% of broadcast media is controlled by 6 companies. And in case you're curious, those 6 companies are GE, News Corp, Disney, Viacom, Time Warner, and CBS. And it was in 1966 that allowed broadcast companies to take over this many stations in their market. And so you can see that the FCC is going to devote most of its time to 6 main companies because they control so much market share. And lastly, when it comes to TV and radio media, there are 2 rules that apply. And this is the equal time rule and the right of reply rule. And essentially what the equal time rule is that if a TV station is going to devote time to focusing on one candidate, then there is a right of the other candidate to get equal time. And same thing, so picture a political debate, and picture, for us, the most recent one would be 2012, Barack Obama and Mitt Romney. So the TV stations would not have been allowed to, for example, edit out all of Mitt Romney's responses. They have to give him equal time to that of Barack Obama. And same thing with right of reply. If Barack Obama asks a question of Mitt Romney, the station can't then cut away to commercial. Not that they have commercials during debates, but right of reply means that the media needs to try to be as neutral as possible and present both sides and the question and answer portion of the topic so that the media is being responsible with sharing accurate information with the general public. In a second, we're going to talk about, although there is sort of a structure set in place to try to keep the media neutral, we'll sort of assess how accurate that actually is.